It was a quiet, grey Oregon morning, the kind I've always loved. I'd just finished arranging fresh daisies in a small glass vase by the kitchen window. The kettle hissed gently, and I hummed a tune I hadn't thought about in years. For a moment, life felt still in the best way. The phone buzzed on the counter. "My birthday is today," I smiled, certain it was a warm note from my daughter Melissa to celebrate my birthday, but instead, the words lit up my screen sharp and cold, texted, "No one's getting any gifts this year, not even you." "We're cutting costs." I blinked, once, twice. Like maybe my eyes would find the warmth that wasn't there. No emojis, no call, not even my name. Just a neat little sentence, "I don't need gifts." I never did. What I wanted was to matter enough that cutting me out wouldn't feel so easy. In that moment, I wasn't her mother. I was just another expense she'd decided she could live without. My name is Margot Carrington, 68 years old, living alone in a small cedar frame house on the outskirts of Portland, retired from the Social Security Administration. And that's when it hit me. I hadn't been part of my daughter's life for a long time. Today, she just put it into words. That evening, on my quiet birthday night, the phone rang. "Linda? It's Cheryl." My old neighbour from Phoenix still had that quick, cheery tone like she was about to share good news. I dried my hands on a dish towel. "Cheryl, it's been ages. What's going on?" Her voice lowered, cautious now. "Listen, I just ran into Melissa." I froze. "My daughter? Melissa? Where?" "Sedona Springs Resort. She was having lunch with her mother-in-law. They looked very close, a resort. On my birthday. And she's there. With Karen." Cheryl went on as if she could read my thoughts. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but my table was right next to theirs. They were talking loud enough for half the patio to hear here. "Mom makes such a big deal about her birthday, like she's the only one who gets older every year. It's exhausting." I kept my tone neutral. Inside, the word exhausting drilled in like a pin. Exhausting? Does she even know what exhaustion is? 35 years at the SSA, staying up nights to make sure others got their benefits on time. That's exhausting. Raising a child alone without letting her miss a single meal or school trip. That's exhausting. But I suppose to her, exhausting means having a mother who doesn't stay silent when she's headed in the wrong direction. Cheryl tried to soften it. "Oh, I'm sure she was just kidding." "You know how young people exaggerate," I answered, flat and cold. "I know Melissa. She doesn't kid about the things she wants people to believe." Cheryl hesitated, then lowered her voice further. "And then her mother-in-law, Karen, right? Said, 'At least you have us. Family that actually appreciates you. A family that actually appreciates you.'" I gripped the phone cord tighter. "So what am I? A budget line to be cut?" Cheryl added quickly. "Do you want to see?" I recorded a short video. I was filming the live band, but, well, they ended up in the frame. Seconds later, a message came through. On the screen, I saw Melissa leaning toward Karen, smiling faintly, and Karen nodding, her expression the kind of knowing agreement that feels like a private alliance. In the video, Melissa says, "We're cutting costs this year." "No gifts," Karen smirks. "Good. She has her pension. She'll be fine." I gave a small laugh, humorless. "Fine? They have no idea that half of that pension goes to medication and patching a leaking roof every winter." Cheryl's voice came again, gentle. "Linda, I think they're just trying to bond." Please don't take it too hard. I kept my eyes on the video, on Karen's hand resting over Melissa's arm like she owned her. "Cheryl, I spent 35 years at the SSA. I know when someone's trying to bond and when they're replacing you. And I just saw a replacement." She sighed. "I just don't want you upset. Not today." "It's your birthday." I spoke slowly, deliberately. "You just gave me the best gift. Truth. It's just not a gift everyone likes to open." I poured my whole life into my daughter. Yet, in the end, I was the one she chose to erase. You've always been close with her, though? I mean, that's how I remember it. Cheryl said. I let out a short, humorless laugh. Close? Cheryl, I raised Melissa by myself after my husband Tom died. She was 5. I was 33. You remember those years? You saw them. I remember you worked all the time, Cheryl said almost gently. But you still made every school play, every science fair. Because I refused to be the parent who was too busy, I cut in. I stayed in that little house, took every overtime shift at the SSA, passed up promotions because they required travel. All so she'd never come home to an empty house. That's why I'm saying she must know. She did know, I interrupted again, sharper this time. She knew when I skipped every date, every vacation, every chance at a personal life so she could have camp fees paid on time, a brand new flute for band, a real prom dress instead of one from Goodwill. Don't tell me she doesn't know, Cheryl hesitated. But people grow up, Linda. They build their own lives. You can't expect her to… To what? I snapped. To remember who built the life she's standing on. No, I don't expect gratitude every day, but I expect recognition. And what I saw in that video wasn't just forgetfulness, it was erasure. Cheryl's voice tightened. Maybe you're reading too much into a moment. I've been around you long enough to know you. Know what? I leaned forward in my chair, gripping the phone cord. That I keep score? That I'm bitter? No, Cheryl. I keep records, just like I did at work. I see patterns. And the pattern here is that ever since Ethan showed up, every major holiday, every big milestone, every damn memory is being made somewhere I'm not invited. That's a strong accusation, she said carefully. It's a strong truth, I countered. She sighed into the line. Maybe she's just trying to make both sides happy. I gave a dry laugh. Making both sides happy means making space for both. This, I glanced at the still image on my phone of Karen's hand on Melissa's arm, is about one side replacing the other. I've been demoted from mom to biological contributor. Cheryl tried one more time. I think she still loves you, Linda. She wouldn't… She loves the idea of me, I said, cutting her off. The convenient, quiet version that doesn't question her choices or remind her of inconvenient truths. And Karen is more than happy to play that role because it costs her nothing and gains her everything. Cheryl went quiet for a beat, then said, almost reluctantly, I guess. I never realized how far back this went. It's been years, I told her, my voice flat. Years of shorter calls, cancelled visits, gifts that feel like they were bought in the airport gift shop. Years of hearing Karen's name more than my own when Melissa talks to me, and now I know. It's not just neglect, it's displacement. Cheryl's voice had changed, softer but edged with something wary. Linda, what are you planning to do? I let the question hang. I could hear her shifting in her chair like she already regretted asking. What I always do when I see a problem that's been going on too long, I said finally. I document it. I look for patterns. And then I fix it at the source, Cheryl gave a nervous laugh. You make it sound like one of your old SSA fraud cases. That's because it feels exactly like one. My tone was flat, deliberate. Back then, I learned that people don't just lie on forms. They live in their lives. They create stories to justify the benefits they take. And sometimes those benefits are money. Sometimes they're people. You think Karen is taking Melissa? I think Karen is claiming a role she didn't earn. And Melissa's letting her because it's easier than facing what that means. I glanced again at the frozen image of Karen's hand resting on my daughter's arm. So yes, Cheryl. I'm going to treat this like an investigation. Not because I want revenge, but because I want the truth. And the truth always leaves a trail. Cheryl hesitated. And if you find something? Then, I said, my voice cooling another few degrees, I'll make sure Melissa sees it. Not heard about it, sees it, the kind of evidence you can't talk your way out of. On the other end, Cheryl drew in a slow breath. You sound Dangerous when you talk like that. I smiled to myself, though she couldn't see it. Dangerous is just what people call it when you know exactly what you're doing. People think I'm just a retired old woman. What they forget is I used to hunt fraud for a living. The rain hadn't stopped since morning. It tapped against my window in a slow, steady rhythm as I sat at my desk, the same oak desk that had followed me through 35 years at the Social Security Administration. Some people kept photo albums from their past. I kept habits. I opened my laptop. The glow of the screen felt colder than the room. I typed her name, Karen Weller. The first hit was an Etsy store. Pretty pastels, clean typography. Handcrafted luxury embroidery, the kind of branding you'd pay an agency for. Her pieces weren't crafts, they were investments. Wall art, custom-stitched family crests, wedding samplers. $400, $850, $1,200, and sold tags on half of them. Every item is shipped from Phoenix, Arizona. I kept scrolling. The orders weren't occasional, they were steady. A second income stream. Phoenix property records were next, public domain if you knew where to look. 2 addresses popped up under her name, not mortgage records, deeds. She owned both outright, and both were rented. Passive income month after month. My mind moved on its own, flipping through mental pages of the Social Security Act. Section 1611, Supplemental Security Income Eligibility, Low Income, Limited Resources, no more than $2,000 in countable assets. Rental properties beyond a primary home, countable, reportable. If you didn't report them, you weren't poor. You were lying. And Karen was lying. Still, lies need proof. That's when Melissa's own trail came to me. I pulled up her social media. A photo from last month, Karen holding a bouquet, captioned, "A little something from Melissa." Another 3 months earlier, "Helping Mom out again this month." Melissa's help wasn't charity, it was unreported income, and income in SSI cases changes everything. I leaned back, fingers steepled. I didn't have enough to file a case, but I knew who could, George. I'd trained him in my first decade at SSA. Now he sat in the office of the Inspector General, where cases like Karen's landed with a thud. He picked up on the second ring. "George, I've got a hypothetical. Female, early 60s, drawing SSI for low income, owns 2 rental properties, runs an online business selling luxury goods, regular family cash gifts." None of it reported silence. Then his tone sharpened. Official. "Linda, that's not hypothetical, that's fraud. Federal. Title 18, Section 1001, False Statements to the Government. I've seen people serve time for less felony." The words sat in the air between us, heavy and certain. I closed the laptop, the screen fading to black. Outside, the rain had turned harder, streaking down the glass in crooked lines. Karen thought she was playing a game. She didn't realize. She'd just stepped into mine. The rain had slowed to a mist, clinging to the edges of the window. I sat at my desk with the file open, screenshots of Etsy listings, property deeds, Melissa's posts, all neatly arranged like pieces of a puzzle, only I could see whole. I stared at them for a long time. If I send this in, Melissa will know. She'll be furious. She'll see it as me attacking her husband's family. She'll take Karen's side. And maybe this time she won't come back. But if I stay quiet, she'll keep feeding Karen month after month, draining herself dry for a woman who's lying to her and the government. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. "This is your choice, Linda," I told myself. "You can be the mother who keeps the peace, or the mother who keeps her child safe." Not both. A small, sharp laugh slipped out. I'd spent 35 years making decisions no one thanked me for, denying claims that didn't meet the law, even when the stories were heartbreaking, because the rules existed for a reason. Because truth mattered more than comfort. So why would I stop now? I attached the documents to 2 emails, One to the SSA's Office of the Inspector General, the other to the IRS. No drama, no explanation, just facts. Facts don't need decoration. I hit send. Watched the little bar crawl across the screen. Done. Leaning back, I exhaled through my nose. My hands didn't shake. My chest didn't ache. All I felt was the quiet certainty of a woman who's done exactly what needed to be done. On the desk beside me lay a blank card and an envelope. I picked up my pen, and in my own careful handwriting, I wrote, "Dinner, my place, Friday at 7. No mention of what it was about. No warning. Just enough for Melissa to show up. And when she did, I'd put the truth on the table right beside the roast chicken. Melissa arrived right at 7. Coat still on, she scanned the table. Roast chicken, potatoes, the good china. "You really went all out," she said, a cautious smile tugging at her mouth. "I thought we should talk." "Properly," I said, pulling out her chair. We ate in silence for a few minutes. I waited. Finally, she said, "So, what's this about?" "It's about Karen," I said. Her smile faltered. "If this is about your birthday, it's about the money you send her every month," she frowned. "That's not something you need to be involved in. There's the first brick of the wall. It becomes my business when she's committing federal fraud." Melissa laughed, sharp, defensive. "That's insane. Karen's on SSI. She's barely scraping by. She's on SSI while running a luxury embroidery business, owning 2 rental properties, and pocketing your transfers without reporting them." Her fork clattered onto her plate. "How do you even know that?" 35 years at SSA, I said flatly. "I know fraud when I see it." Her eyes widened. "You've been digging into her life?" "Jesus, Mom. Do you have any idea how twisted that is? Twisted is stealing from the system while smiling for holiday photos." "This morning," I said, "I sent the evidence to SSA and the IRS." Her chair scraped back. What the hell, Mom? Are you out of your mind? Do you have any idea what you've done?" "I stopped someone from using you like an ATM." Her voice rose, the words hitting like thrown stones. "No, you ruined her life. You ruined mine. You just can't stand the fact that I have another family now. There it is, the knife, finally out in the open." "You think this is about jealousy?" I kept my voice even. "It's about the law. And it's about you not seeing what's right in front of you." Her hands trembled. What's in front of me is a bitter, controlling old woman who can't let her grown daughter live her own damn life. For a moment, the words hung in the air like smoke. Inside, I felt the old ache twist. But it passed. "You can call me bitter. You can call me controlling. But one day, you'll call me right." I leaned forward slowly. If living your own life means being lied to and drained dry, then yes, I'll interfere. Every time Melissa stared at me, breathing hard, wine untouched, and for the first time all evening she didn't have an answer. The letter from the SSA came on a Thursday. Plain white envelope, federal seal in the corner. I didn't need to open it to know what it said. George had already called the night before. Fraud investigation complete. Benefits terminated. Restitution, $38,426. Karen Weller was no longer a low-income senior in the eyes of the government. She was a debtor, a liar caught in her own net. 2 days later, Melissa stopped answering my calls. No, I need space, no slammed door, just silence. The kind that feels colder than anger. I'd been trained to live with that kind of silence. When you enforce the law, you learn. Doing the right thing doesn't win applause. Sometimes it costs you everything. The only sound in the house was the rain against the kitchen window, same as the day this started. I made tea, sat at the table alone, and stared at the empty chair across from me. 3 weeks later, my inbox pinged. No subject line. Just an email from my son-in-law, Ethan. "Linda, I'm writing this without Melissa knowing. She's furious. You already know that. But I've seen the proof. I've seen what Karen was doing. And I knew before you acted that you were right. You didn't just catch her lying to the government, you stopped her from bleeding Melissa dry. She wouldn't have stopped. Melissa would never have questioned it. She'll hate you for a while, maybe longer, but one day she'll see this for what it was. A rescue. Thank you. Ethan. I read it twice. No smile, no tears, just the quiet knowledge that someone, even if it wasn't my daughter, had seen the truth. I closed Ethan's email and shut the laptop. No, this wasn't the kind of victory you celebrated. It wasn't champagne and toasts. It was the kind you carried alone, like a scar that reminded you you'd survived. Melissa might never forgive me. That's her choice. But I didn't spend 35 years enforcing the law, raising a daughter on my own, surviving loss after loss, just to sit quietly while someone rewrote the truth. A man once told me I was too tough for my own good. He was wrong. I'm exactly tough enough for my own good. And if that means losing a place in my daughter's heart, so be it. Because I didn't just protect her name. I protected the woman she still has the chance to become. Outside, the rain had finally stopped. The air smelled clean, and for the first time in weeks, so did I. So, that's how the story ends. If this made you think, or if you've lived through something similar, share your thoughts in the comments. Our channel is a space for sharing tales of the elderly and family revenge stories from people who have weathered life's storms. Subscribe to the channel for more, because sometimes the deepest form of revenge is simply living on your own terms.